Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of colors and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem and invocation. Color Guard, parade the colors. Color Guard, retire the colors. Chaplain Van Dyke will now deliver the invocation.
If you would like to join me as I pray, I invite you to bow your head with me. Let us pray. Eternal Father, immortal, invisible, God only wise, we thank you today for these graduates of the Naval Postgraduate School and for the milestone they have achieved. You have given them an opportunity that many would love to have. You have gifted and equipped these men and women to accomplish a difficult mission here. So I thank you for the ways you have blessed them and for all their hard work and perseverance. I pray that you would make them a great benefit to the military and civilian communities they now go to serve, not only here in the United States, but around the world. We acknowledge that they did not reach this goal by themselves, but by your grace, through the encouragement of so many people, through friendships formed as they challenged and helped each other in classes and labs, in study groups and project teams, through spouses and children who patiently waited through many long days and short nights, and through the faculty and staff who taught, mentored, and led them through their course. Lord God, we realize that we live in a fallen and broken world that doesn't always recognize or appreciate hard work the way that it should. So it is a privilege for us all to celebrate with them their accomplishment today. As we begin this graduation ceremony, give us all hearts and minds that are thankful and humble, mindful of your goodness and mercy. Great is your name, O God, and greatly to be praised. Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Naval Postgraduate School's Fall Quarter Graduation. I'd like to begin this morning's ceremony by thanking the Del Monte Brass and the Naval Postgraduate School Color Guard. The The men and women sharing the stage with President Rout and Provost Hensler today are the deans of our various schools, distinguished professors, U.S. foreign government officials, and our local area military leadership. They have all been deeply involved in the education of today's graduates. At this time, I'm honored to introduce President Vice Admiral Ronald Rout, U.S. Navy retired.
Thank you. Well, good morning and welcome to our graduation ceremony. To our distinguished guests, faculty and staff, family and friends, and soon-to-be graduates. Today is a celebration of individual commitment, perseverance, and personal accomplishment. And we are here today along with family and friends to express our great pride in our students' academic achievements. Joining me on stage today is our guest speaker, General Jay Paxton, Assistant Commandant of the U.S. Marine Corps. Also joining us today is Mr. Scott McAllister, Deputy Undersecretary, Office of Intelligence and Analysis, U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Please join me in welcoming General Paxton and Mr. McAllister. Thank you, Dean of Students, and thank you to all our staffs who have worked so hard in putting this event together today. And especially our thanks to the Del Monte Brass for their participation in the ceremony. As you already have probably recognized, they are playing in their namesake venue, and we're very pleased that they're here. So thank you, Del Monte Brass. And now for a little bit of history. You all know that King Hall, our regular auditorium, is being renovated. So this gives us the opportunity to celebrate Naval Postgraduate School history right here today in this ballroom where the first graduation was held in 1949. This is where MPS was officially dedicated in 1952 by Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz and Secretary of the Navy, the Honorable Dan Kimball. This ballroom, this great grand room that you're sitting in now, was the main dining room of the old Hotel Del Monte. At the time, it was the largest room of its kind in the western United States. You see these majestic windows, all of this light treatment, these fantastic chandeliers, the artwork from which echoes Spain and Portugal and some Moorish influence. This was the largest room that had been built without any visible support. So no matter where your table was here in this dining area, you had a good view of the outside. There were many prominent people and celebrities who dined here, right where you are sitting now. These included Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, Eleanor Roosevelt, Salvador Dali, Amelia Earhart and Charles Lindbergh, Greta Garbo and Charlie Chaplin, and Walt Disney. So look around and take this opportunity to appreciate this wonderful space we're in today. Here today, we gratefully acknowledge the faculty and staff whose dedication to each student has made this graduation possible. You are truly a world-class, amazing team. Your passion for teaching and commitment to this institution are greatly appreciated by everyone with us today, especially our graduates. Because of your incredible teamwork, we celebrate another graduating class of highly educated service members and students. So please join me in thanking our MPS faculty and staff. Thank you. While we honor our graduates and faculty who helped get them where they are today, we must also recognize the family and friends of our graduates. The importance of your love, support, and sacrifices cannot be overstated. We thank you for taking this time to be with us, and especially to those who have traveled some distance to be here. Please, family and friends, please stand up so we can recognize you and thank you for coming. All right. To our graduates, we cannot express our immense pride in your success. We have immersed you in an extremely competitive academic environment that has enabled you to focus on and to think about the challenges that affect your service and our national security. It is our commitment that your NPS graduation will serve as the foundation upon which the rest of your careers and lifelong learning are built. The skills you have developed will help you serve more effectively wherever you are called, and our nation will count on you as strategic influencers, problem solvers, and leaders wherever your careers take you. Influencers and leaders at every step along the way, in your wardrooms and ready rooms, in your units and staffs, and certainly in command. Influencers and leaders like former Naval Postgraduate School graduates, Admiral Mike Mullen, Admiral Bill McRaven, General Mike Hagee, and Army Lieutenant General Dave Huebner, the hero of Haifa, who spoke to you all several months ago. Like them, we know that each one of you can make a difference. I would also encourage you to continue to be good mentors and citizens in your communities in which you live and work. We are proud of our citizen students who have dedicated hours each week to tutoring area school children as part of the Breakfast for Your Brain program in the NPS library. Citizen students who participated in the MOTO program, mentoring others through outreach, mentoring at-risk youth in local schools, and citizen students who help charities by building custom homes for local wounded warriors, participating in speaking engagements at local schools and organizations, acting as judges in the local science fair, staffing the hotline at the local sexual assault crisis center, and leading the reading program at the local public library. Thank you to those of you who were volunteers in your community while you were here. Leaving Monterey is not always easy, but you leave with some great memories. More importantly, you leave with an enhanced education and a set of skills and a wider network of friends and colleagues, all of which will be useful to you every single day throughout the remainder of your careers. On a day like today, reflecting the accomplishments while looking ahead to an uncertain future and a changing and sometimes violent world, we are reminded of our call to service, your call to service. We honor that service, and it's your turn to go and do what's next, prepared to do something great. On behalf of all of us at the Naval Postgraduate School, thank you and congratulations. And now it is my distinct honor and personal privilege to introduce our guest speaker. General J. Paxton, United States Marine Corps, is a graduate of Cornell University, receiving a bachelor's and a master's in civil engineering. He has held jobs at all levels within the Marine Corps operational forces and in the National Capital Region. He has commanded Marines and joint and multinational forces in Bosnia, Somalia, Korea, and Iraq. As Assistant Commandant, he is responsible for the business of the Marine Corps, specifically acquisition, programming, and budgeting. I first met Jay 15 years ago when he was a military fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations. Together, later, we fought a number of budget battles in the Pentagon for the Department of the Navy. On my first trip to Washington as president of this school, I visited him in his office. You could not find a more enthusiastic leader of Marines or a more enthusiastic supporter of the Naval Postgraduate School and our students. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a warm welcome to the 33rd Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Paxton.
Thank you for that mercifully short and very gracious introduction, Admiral Raup. And ladies and gentlemen, I am indeed honored, privileged, and humbled to be with you today, and particularly to recognize the graduating students. I realize at this time of year that there's only one thing between either a running car and some well-deserved holiday leave or perhaps a cross-country set of PCS orders. So I will try to be short myself. I would be remiss, however, if I didn't start with a few remarks that you just heard from Admiral Rout. I would like first to ask the students if you will indulge me and join me in some recognition. Although today is indeed about you and about your accomplishments and your potential and your future, I know most of you are keenly aware you would not be here were it not for many others who helped out. I am indeed here to represent the Commandant, and I think with a little liberal license I could represent the CNO and the Secretary of the Navy to tell everyone thanks, and bravo Zulu, in nautical terms, well done. But before I do that, I think we all need to express some gratitude to the folks who make this institution special and why you are here and why you have been afforded the unique educational opportunity and future growth opportunity that you have. So I would like to start by recognizing the world-class faculty and staff that is the Naval Postgraduate School, who bring not only, thank you, we'll get right there, Cindy, who not only give us the opportunity we have here, but give us something very special, because you have potential Nobel laureates and nominees here. You have National Science Foundation recipients. You have world-class authors. You have folks who have led international studies and done things of tremendous import to the United States of America. But they take all that experience, all that expertise, and they focus it back on students. And they do it directly. They don't do it with teaching assistants. They lean in and take your operational experience, your combat experience, and your potential, and they turn you into more critical thinkers, more intricate problem solvers, and team ball players. So I would like to ask the students to stand up and join me in a round of applause for the faculty and staff of the Naval Postgraduate School. And if the students will stay on your feet for one more minute, several seconds ago, Admiral Rout asked families to stand and be recognized. But you know you're here because somebody else always had your flank and someone else was always looking over your shoulder. For many of you, you have come back from remote duty station assignments, overseas postings, perhaps combat tours. And this is your depth to dwell time, if you'll allow me to say that. But while you were getting some depth to dwell time and perhaps your spouse and your loved one was looking for more family time, you were cracking open the books. And as the chaplain reminded us, you were going to planning team meetings, you were going into the labs, you were going into study teams. So I would like the students to join me in a round of applause for the family members who have supported you and made this educational opportunity so possible. Thank you, family members. Thank you. So my purpose here today is to be very short, and I'd like to talk about three things. To the students, I'd like to talk about why you were here, hopefully what you learned, and then what we, being your host nations, your services, expect of you next. I will start with a little bit of history. When you usually speak, you have an attention gainer, and perhaps it's a joke. I don't do jokes. I either can't remember the punchline or it's inappropriate to the audience. And in an educational institution like this, that's high-risk business, so I won't go there. Admiral Rout, as you just heard, gave us all a little bit of history about not only this great institution, but this unique facility here. I could talk about this week in history or today in history and give you some things like 1928 and the auto gyro. So we're only about 10 or 12 years away from the Wright brothers, but we're already thinking about helicopters and their use operationally on the battlefield. I could also talk to you about the early 60s, right here at the Naval Postgraduate School, when we had one of the world's first supercomputers. But to show that it could work on power, there's indeed photographs of folks on a tandem bike powering this supercomputer. Now, as you heard Admiral Rout say, I'm an engineer. I happened to graduate from school in 1973, and the year I graduated, they came out with the first handheld computer. So I was used to doing business with a slide rule, and I still have about 8 of them. But the first computer that came out, one of my roommates had. It cost $495, and it was indeed as big as a brick and weighed as much as a brick. And in 1973, on a Hewlett-Packard handheld computer for $495, you could add, subtract, multiply, divide, and, wow, do sine and cosine. That was it, okay? Today, here at the Naval Postgraduate School, you have supercomputers that process teraflops. I didn't even know what they were until 2 weeks ago, okay? Or how fast they are. But it's a whole lot of information real fast. And it's an indication that the world has changed. So if you use today in history, I'd like to put some technologic markers down, like the 2 I just used. But I'd also like to remind all of you of 2 other things in history, and I'll give them to you for an entirely different reason. Today in 1777, our commander-in-chief, who happened to be also the general of the Continental Army, encamped his soldiers in a small field above the Perkiomen Creek, about 22 miles west of Philadelphia. So we've been 2.5 years at war for our independence, but George Washington had some wounds to heal and some wounds to lick, and he thought that the Army needed to be in camp, so he put them in a place called Valley Forge. And they stayed there for a very, very brutal winter while they brought in folks who could help them rearm, retrain, refit, and get ready, like the raid across the Delaware into Trenton, and to move out to finally get a string of successes in Morrisville and other places that would ultimately, after 6.5 years, earn us our independence. But I'm going to come back to that in just a moment about why Valley Forge is important. And then if you flash forward to today in history in 1944, our armies, our coalition armies, our combined armies were moving across Europe, and the Germans counterattacked in a place called Bastogne. And their counterattack formed a bulge, which was then called the Battle of the Bulge. And it was one of those dramatic battles that even forced George Patton to ask his chaplain to come up with a prayer to get rid of the bad weather. And the chaplain was much alarmed that, hey, I don't do prayers for weather. I'm not in either procurement or management in that business. But he did a great job. Now, I give you all of those, or at least those 2, for a very different reason. You are going to step out into a world that's full of complexity and a world that's full of uncertainty. And you're going to want to harness the specific skills of the core curricula that you mastered here at Naval Postgraduate School, and you're going to want to tie those skills into things you learned on the United States side as a soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, Coastie, National Guard. For our many allied friends and partners, to go back to your Navy, your Army, perhaps your homeland defense. And there'll be unique skill sets that you will want to capture. But the real issue today is, in a world of complexity, in a world of uncertainty, in a world of dynamic change, in a world where the tyranny of time and the tyranny of distance are certainly working against us, what we really need is thinkers and problem solvers who are leaders themselves or whose idea can capture the ear of a leader. And that's why you're here. That's why your parent service, that's why your host nation, that's why your part of government sent you here, because they see potential in you. Most of you are not volunteers, you're voluntolds. That's a great thing about the military. That's why they call them orders instead of options, okay? But you execute orders. And I know if the first step is, why are you here? It's not just because somebody told you to come here. It's because you realize this is a unique opportunity, and you did indeed carpe diem. You seized the moment. You seized the day. So my second question to you is, what did you do here? Did you make the best of this opportunity? Had you been in a Marine unit and I was checking you out to come to the Naval Postgraduate School, I would give you a quote from one of my favorite authors, Mark Twain. And I would tell you, as Mark Twain used to tell folks, never let your schooling interfere with your education. So I hope you seized every possible moment here to broaden your horizons, to do some interdisciplinary activity, to take the fact that there are no teaching assistants and you're working directly with a professor who is a leader in the field, to really challenge that professor. Why do you think that? What were your assumptions? Why do you teach this? Why should you recommend that we do it this way? I hope you did that while you were here. And more importantly, I challenge you when you get back to your home nation, out in the fleet, that you continue to use that challenge to challenge the hypothesis, to challenge the assumptions, to come up with new constraints and restraints. I ask you to do that when you get back to the fleet. The second quote I'll give you today is one, and I don't know the attribution, and you may have seen it or heard it. But the quote says that a nation that places too broad a distinction between its thinkers and its fighters will very soon find its thinking done by cowards and its fighting done by fools. You are here because you are thinkers and fighters. I ask you to keep the two of them close. The Naval Postgraduate School is rich and unique because it is operationally relevant, because the things you learn are not plastic and insular and isolated. They have real-world ties and operational relevance. And that brings me to my third point. While you are here, what did you learn? What do you do next? So my challenge to all of you is to go back to the Army, to the Navy, to the Air Force, to the Marine Corps, to Singapore, to Hungary, to the Philippines, wherever you go, and contribute to make the world a little smaller, a little sharper, a little more prepared, a little more interactive. To our allied students and our friends, stay in touch. Stay in touch with the faculty, stay in touch with your classmates, stay in touch with your lab partners. To the U.S. students, reach out. Interagency, joint coalition, allies, go find them. You'll find that in the future, the fight is less about command relationships than it is about relationships between commanders. One of the side benefits of being here is to establish those relationships. You would be foolish if you didn't capitalize upon them and use them in the days ahead. So my final comment, students, as well as everyone else, is to let you know how incredibly proud we are of you and your accomplishments here, because it is potential recognized and it is another door that's opened. And today is indeed commencement, which means you start. You step out, you start anew. I look forward to serving with you around the country and around the world. And despite the incredible complexity and challenge that's out there, despite things like Valley Forge or the Bulge, I know that what you have really learned is how to critically think and how to overcome adversity through endurance, through initiative, through teamwork. I don't worry about the world ahead. I should, but I don't, because I can look in your eyes and your steady gaze and your firm step, and I know we picked the best and the brightest to come to Naval Postgraduate School, and I know you're going to be leaders in the future. So to all of you, Bravo Zulu, fair winds, following seas. Congratulations, Semper Fi.
I would now like to invite President Rout and Provost Hensler forward for the conferring of PhD candidates. Will the candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy please stand and proceed to the platform?
Will Lieutenant Colonel Randy Boucher, the candidate for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Mathematics, please cross the stage? The title of Lieutenant Colonel Boucher's dissertation is Galerkin Optimal Control. Lieutenant Colonel Boucher's dissertation advisor is Professor Wei Kang from the Department of Mathematics. Lieutenant Colonel Boucher's dissertation develops the theoretical foundation for a family of numerical analysis formulations for solving nonlinear optimal control problems. These numerical formulations have the potential to provide greater efficiency and/or improved accuracy in solving a wide range of real-world problems. President Rout, I present to you Lieutenant Colonel Boucher. He has completed all requirements prescribed by the faculty and is recommended for the degree Doctor of Philosophy.
By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will Major Roy Nya, the candidate for degree Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering, please cross the stage. The title of Major Nya's dissertation is Integrated Range Doppler Map and Extended Target Classification with Adaptive Waveform for Cognitive Radar. Major Nya's dissertation advisor is Professor Rick Romero from the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Major Nya's work involves the use of cognitive radar to form new generation of adaptive waveforms that can efficiently identify and locate moving targets simultaneously. These adaptive waveforms perform better in terms of joint identification and target location compared to classical waveforms, which will significantly improve the use of radars and serve as a stepping stone for the next generation of intelligent radar systems. President Rout, I present to you Major Nya. He has completed all requirements prescribed by the faculty and is recommended for the degree Doctor of Philosophy.
By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will Mr. Connor Michael Pogue, the candidate for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in Applied Physics, please cross the stage. The title of Mr. Pogue's dissertation is Terahertz Free Electron Laser Simulation and Analysis. Mr. Pogue's dissertation advisor is Distinguished Professor William Colson from the Department of Physics. Mr. Pogue, in research sponsored by the High Energy Laser Joint Technology Office and the NIOWAVE Fellowship, developed a new design for a small, powerful laser in a frequency range where there are few existing sources. This compact design opens up opportunities for university lab installation, while the high average power may allow detection of explosives and other dangerous materials at over 100 yards away. President Rout, I present to you Mr. Pogue. He has completed all requirements prescribed by the faculty and is recommended for the degree Doctor of Philosophy.
By the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will the candidates for engineer's degree please stand and proceed to the platform?
The engineer's degree is a degree that is intermediate between the master's degree and a PhD. It requires more courses than a master's degree, and the student spends more time in the thesis investigation probing deeper into research than for a master's thesis. President Rout, I present to you these candidates. After consideration of their academic accomplishments, the Academic Council will recommend them for the degree Mechanical and/or Electrical Engineer as specified.
Upon recommendation of the Academic Council, I will, by the authority vested in me, confer upon them the degree Mechanical and Electrical Engineer as specified. with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Electrical Engineer, Commander Ned Patterson, U.S. Navy, also received the degree Masters of Science in Electrical Engineering. The astronaut Michael J. Smith and astronaut William C. McCool Astronautics Award with distinction. Mechanical Engineer, First Lieutenant Brandon Klumpner, U.S. Army, also received the degree Masters of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Outstanding Thesis. Will the candidates for the degrees Masters of Arts and Masters of Science please stand?
President Rout, I present to you these candidates. After consideration of their academic accomplishments, the Academic Council will recommend them for the degree Master of Arts and Master of Science as specified.
Upon the recommendation of the Academic Council, I will, by the authority vested in me, confer upon them the degree Master of Arts, Master of Science, or Master of Business Administration as specified, with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Please be seated. Of this quarter's total 373 graduating class, 110 have also earned their Command and Staff Diploma from the Joint Professional Military Education Program sponsored by the Naval War College. Candidates for the degree Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Middle East, South Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa. Major Daniel Jason O'Reilly, U.S. Marine Corps. Major James Brademan, U.S. Army. Captain Christopher Noel Campbell, U.S. Army. Captain William Schneck, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Michael Keating Deloach, U.S. Navy, with distinction, Outstanding Thesis. Captain Aaron Baum, U.S. Air Force. Major Christopher John Dura, U.S. Air Force. The Outstanding United States Air Force Graduate Award, Department of National Security Affairs, with distinction. Captain Justin M. Hinkey, U.S. Air Force. Major Nathan Morgan, U.S. Air Force. Major Tony Joseph Stibrall, U.S. Air Force. Major Parnell Prasada, U.S. Air Force. Mr. Ryan Nelson Johnson, Department of Defense Civilian, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Master of Arts in Security Studies, Far East, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific. On Se-min, South Korean Army. Captain No Kwang-il, South Korean Army. Captain Mehmet Gur, Turkish Army. Lieutenant Ryan Stephen Clark, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Damon J. Cook, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Jason DeJesus, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Bradley Michael Monger, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Jason Nakata, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander John Thomas Slagle, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Tao Cheng, U.S. Navy. Major Jason Hansberger, U.S. Air Force. Excuse me. Major Robert Nathan Leake, U.S. Air Force. Major Kevin K. Tran, U.S. Air Force. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Western Hemisphere, Captain Reese Johnson, U.S. Marine Corps, graduate from the Marine Corps Command and Staff Distance Learning Program. Major Scott Anderson, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Commander Derek Behrens, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Ronaldo Rogers, U.S. Navy. Major Matthew Bodell Garvin, U.S. Air Force, the Lewis D. Liskin Award for Excellence in Regional Security Studies, the Foreign Area Officer Award for Excellence in International Affairs with distinction. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Europe and Eurasia, Major Claire Martinez, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Matthew Glenn Martinez, U.S. Navy. Captain Rui Amaral, U.S. Air Force, outstanding thesis. Captain Anthony George, U.S. Air Force. Major Darius Vodazevitsky, U.S. Air Force, outstanding thesis. Captain Yaroslav Joseph Radlovsky, U.S. Air Force. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Strategic Studies, Lieutenant Ryan Benitez, U.S. Navy. Commander Hamid Sujad, Pakistan Navy. Lieutenant Terrence Maxwell Murphy, U.S. Navy, outstanding thesis. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Combating Terrorism, Policy and Strategy, Major David Andreas Rodriguez Camacho, Colombian Army, the International Student Award for Excellence in Regional or Security Studies. First Lieutenant Mehmet Asim Kanmaz, Turkish Army. Lieutenant Colonel Mohammed Kamra Sadat, Pakistan Army. Lieutenant Colonel Manoj Thapa, Nepalese Army. Lieutenant Commander Gaspar Perez Casanova, Mexican Navy. Captain Abubakar Abdullahi Mustafa, Nigerian Navy. Major Adel Farouk Rashid Al-Tiri, Yemenis Ministry of Interior. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Homeland Security and Defense, Captain Brad Wesley, U.S. Army. Major Stacy Kihara, U.S. Air Force. Miss Andrea Blair Hernandez Forrester, civilian, Naval Postgraduate School. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Homeland Security and Defense, Colonel Lee Smithson, Mississippi Army National Guard. Chief Kenneth Adcox, LaPorte Police Department, Texas. Chief Richard Bedreau, West Baton Rouge Fire District, Louisiana. Sergeant J. Bowen III, Philadelphia Police Department, Pennsylvania. Mr. Roy Brush, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C. Captain Benjamin Burns, Florida Department of Agriculture, Pensacola, Florida. Miss Marie Louise Byrne, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Washington, D.C. Mr. Brent Cotton, Transportation Security Administration, Washington, D.C. Special Agent Stephen Cyrus, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Washington, D.C. Miss Angela English, Texas Governor's Committee on People with Disabilities, Austin, Texas. The Curtis H. Bush Straub Achievement Award with distinction. Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Julie Farrell, United States Secret Service, Washington, D.C. Chief Stephen Goebel, Henderson Fire Department, Nevada. Miss Deanne Harwood, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C. Captain Bruce Hiorns, Massachusetts State Police. Mr. Vladimir Ibarra, Office of the Lieutenant Governor, Rhode Island. Miss Suzanne Kermani, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Laguna Niguel, California. Mr. Nicholas Clem, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Raleigh, North Carolina. Chief Deputy Douglas Lee, Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, California. Mr. Tedrick Lindstrom, United States Coast Guard, Seattle, Washington. Deputy Assistant Director Edward Lowry, United States Secret Service, Washington, D.C. Detective Sergeant Mark McDonnell, New York City Police Department. Cabinet Secretary Gregory Myers, New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Captain John Okleski, Richmond Police Department, Virginia. Dr. William Pilkington, Public Health Authority of Carabas County, North Carolina. Technical Enforcement Officer Aaron Reynolds, U.S. ICE Homeland Security Investigation, Seattle, Washington. Senior Special Agent James Ricciuti, U.S. Federal Protective Services, New Hampshire, outstanding thesis. Assistant Chief Trevor Richmond, Los Angeles Fire Department, California, the Philip Zimbardo Award. Captain John Romero, Los Angeles Police Department, California. Mr. Christopher Toms, United States Coast Guard, Washington, D.C. Masters of Science in Electrical Engineering, Captain Joshua Lum, U.S. Marine Corps. Major Douglas Peterson, U.S. Marine Corps. Lieutenant Richard Dobias, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Dirk Lundgren, U.S. Navy, also received the degree Masters of Science in Applied Mathematics. Lieutenant Andrew Moss, U.S. Navy, AFCEA John McReynolds Wozencraft Electrical and Computer Engineering Academic Honor Award. Lieutenant Commander Atiq Saeed, Pakistan Navy. Lieutenant Dominic Simoni, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Chris Stracely, U.S. Navy. The Space Systems Engineering Award for Academic Excellence, the Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command Award in Electrical Systems Engineering. Masters of Science in Mechanical Engineering, Commander Rex Bunyabas, U.S. Navy. Naval Sea Systems Command Award in Naval Mechanical Engineering with distinction. Lieutenant Chase Dillard, U.S. Navy. The Surface Navy Association Award for Excellence in Surface Warfare Research, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Ryan Hilger, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Nicholas Valladares, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Astronautical Engineering, Lieutenant Commander Richard Arledge, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Anthony Colwell, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Joseph Greenslade, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant James Kaufman, U.S. Navy, with distinction, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Commander Michael Kruger, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Edward Tremblay, U.S. Navy. Daniel Alvarez, civilian, Boeing Space and Intelligence System, El Segundo, California. Masters of Science in Combat System Technology, Lieutenant Christopher Pace, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Applied Physics, Major Maxime Champagne, Canadian Army. Lieutenant Brenton Campbell, U.S. Navy, with distinction, outstanding thesis. Masters of Science in Physics, Lieutenant Commander Timothy Householder, U.S. Navy, Naval Sea Systems Command Award for Excellence in Combat Systems. Masters of Science in Meteorology and Physical Oceanography, Lieutenant Thomas Newman, U.S. Navy, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant Mark Mitchell, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Carter Johnston, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Catherine Hermsdorfer, U.S. Navy, the Oceanographer of the Navy Award for Outstanding Academic Performance in Meteorology and Oceanography, with distinction. Lieutenant Commander Jennifer Klein, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Ramon Martinez, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Commander Matthew Kashanik, U.S. Navy, outstanding thesis. Lieutenant William Sauer II, U.S. Navy. Masters of Science in Applied Mathematics, Lieutenant Philip Schuyler Boxa, U.S. Coast Guard, with distinction. Masters of Science in Systems Engineering, Lieutenant Sean Kugler, U.S. Navy. Lieutenant Evan Wolf, U.S. Navy, with distinction, outstanding thesis. Mr. Nicholas David Bergeron, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command. Thank you. Mr. Jason Christian Farino, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command, the Meyer Award for Outstanding Student in Systems Engineering, Distance Learning. Mr. David Whitney Frank, Agility Corporation. Mr. Robbie Mangraw, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Center, Pacific. Mr. Wilden Simon, Naval Surface Warfare Center. Mrs. Jessica Watson, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command. Masters of Science in Engineering Systems, Mrs. Michelle Alma-Cott, Space and Naval Warfare Systems Command. Mr. Richard Hune Kim, Space and Missile Systems Center. Miss Heather Michelle Whitehouse, Army Electronic Proving Ground. Masters of Arts in Security Studies, Combating Terrorism, Policy and Strategy, Major Radu Kishlenu, Moldavian Army. Please join me in giving all the graduates a well-deserved hand. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the graduation ceremony. On behalf of the President and all of us at the Naval Postgraduate School, I'd like to once again thank you for being here today. We offer our sincere appreciation to the Naval Postgraduate School Color Guard and the Del Monte Brass. Please remain clear of the aisles until the platform party and faculty have departed. President Raud cordially invites graduates, faculty, and guests to a reception in honor of the graduates in the lobby of Herman Hall following the ceremony. There will be another graduation ceremony commencing in this ballroom at 12:30. Once again, congrats and have a wonderful weekend. Chaplain Van Dyke will now give the benediction.
If you would like to join me, I invite you to bow your head with me. God of grace and glory, the rewarder of all who seek you and the giver of rest to those who trust in you, bless now these graduates and their family members with renewed confidence and peace, and work in us and through us that which is pleasing in your sight. Blessed be your name now and forevermore. Amen.